everybody! So we're continuing on with Chapter 14 of Children of Blood and Bone. Hopefully we get through Chapter 17 without my phone dying. And this will be the end of the set for this week. So Chapters 6 through 17 is what you need to complete for your journal entries and the reading quiz. And then we'll have that discussion in class over everything. So with Chapter 14, we are now switching from Zelly's perspective over to Enan's perspective. Killer, kill magic. My plan is all I have. Without it, the world slips through my fingers. My magi curse threatens to break from my skin. I'll make you a deal, the girl whispers in my mind, lips twisting as she speaks. No one has to know your dirty little... Damn it! I grit my teeth. It doesn't block out the rest of her vile speech. With the memory of her voice, my infection simmers to the surface, prickling hot under my skin. As it rises, the broken voice grows, louder, sharper. Like forcing a brick down my throat, I fight the magic back. 1, 2. I count as I struggle. The air around me begins to chill. Sweat gathers on my forehead. By the time my magic's pushed down, my breath escapes in rough spurts, but the threat is quelled. For a brief instant, I'm safe. Alone. Enan! I flinch and check that my helmet is still secure. My thumbs run over the latch for the 50th time today. I swear I can feel this new white streak growing, right into Kia's view. She rides forward, summoning me to follow in her stead. She must not realize I've been riding behind her all day, avoiding her line of vision. Mere hours ago, she almost saw it, catching me off guard as I stared at my reflection in a stream. If she'd left a little earlier, if I'd stayed out a little later... Focus, Enan. What am I doing? What ifs get me nowhere. Kill the girl. Kill magic. That's all I need to do. I squeeze my thighs around my snow lepanair, Lula, and urge her after Kia. Careful to avoid the horns protruding from her back. If I hit one too hard, my rider will buck me from my saddle. Now! I snap Lula's reins when she growls. Don't be such a lazy bastard. Lula flashes her serrated fangs, but quickens her pace. She weaves in and out of the marula oak trees, dipping under the babinims, skittering along the fruit-covered branches. I stroke her spotted fur in gratitude when we catch up to Kia. She lets out another low growl, but rubs her face against my hand. Tell me, Kia says when I'm close. What did the villager tell you? Again? Skies, she's relentless. It doesn't add up. I need to hear it once more. Kia reaches behind her panthanair to release her red-breasted firehawk from its cage. The bird perches on the rider's saddle as Kia fastens a note to its leg. Likely a message for father. Following the scroll's trail south. Also, I suspect Enan is a magi. He claimed he was a map maker. I lie. The thief and Amari visited him after they escaped Lagos. Kia raises her forearm and the firehawk spreads its wide wings before taking to the sky. How did he know they were going south? He saw them charting their path. Kia looks away, but not before I catch the doubt glimmering in her eyes. You shouldn't have interrogated anyone without me. And the village shouldn't have burned, I snap. I fail to see the point in obsessing over what should or shouldn't have happened. Relax, Enan. It's not Kia I'm mad at. But her lips are already pinched. I've pushed too far. Sorry, I sigh. I didn't mean that. Enan, if you can't handle this, I'm fine. Are you? She trains her eyes on me. Because if you think I've forgotten about your little episode, you're sadly mistaken. Curse the skies. Kia was there the first time magic attacked me on the shores of Aloran. The night it filled my head with sounds. My gut clenches as I push the evil further down. I won't have the prince die on my watch. If that happens again, you're headed back to the palace. My heart seizes so hard an ache ripples through my chest. She can't send me home like this. Not until the girl dies. I'll make you a deal. Her voice crawls back into my mind. It's so vivid, it's like she's whispering in my ear. Leave me alone and I'll keep your little secret. No one has to know you're a dirty little... No! I shout. It wasn't an episode. On the beach, I take a deep breath. Relax. I thought I saw Amari's corpse. That's it. I was ashamed at how much it rattled me. Oh, Enon. Kia's hardness fades. She reaches over and grabs my hand. Forgive me. I can't imagine how horrific that must have been. I nod and squeeze her hand back. Too lightly. Let go. But my heartbeat quickens in my chest. A turquoise cloud seems to radiate from my chest, billowing like pipe smoke. The smell of rosemary and ash returns. The shrieks of the burning girl surface again. The heat of the flames licks my face. Sweltering smoke fills my lung. With each second, the fire crawls closer to my body, eliminating any chance of escape. Help! I drop to the ground. My lungs reject the rancid air. My feet get caught in the blaze. Help! I jerk on Lula's lanes. She lets out a menacing growl as we come to an abrupt stop. What is it? Kia whips her head around. I dig my hands into Lula's fur to mask their tremble. I'm running out of time. The magic's getting stronger, like a parasite feeding on my blood. Amari, I choke out. My throat burns as if it's still full of smoke. I'm worried. She's never left the palace before. She could get hurt. I know. Kia soothes me. I wonder if she speaks the same way to Father when his temper flares. But she's not completely helpless. There's a reason the king spent so many years making sure you could both wield a sword. I forced a nod, pretending to listen to Kia as Kia continues to talk. Again, I shove my curse down, ignoring the way it makes the air around me thin. Then even as my magic subsides, my heart still pounds. The power burns inside me, taunting, tainting. Kill her, I remind myself. I'll kill the girl. I'll kill this curse. If I can't, I force a deep breath. If I can't, I'm already dead. Okay, so just as always, in your journal entry notes, take about 3-4 main ideas from this chapter. What more are we learning about Anon? Why is this chapter important? How are we developing the plot and developing Anon's characterization here? And then write your 3-sentence summary. And with chapter 15, we're finally switching back to Amari. So we haven't had Amari's perspective since she actually took the scroll and saw Binta's death. So it's been a long time since we've seen anything from her perspective. We've gotten to see how she's behaved through Zelly's perspective and seen how Zelly has described her, but we haven't truly heard Amari's voice here in a while. So chapter 15 is through Amari. I used to dream of climbing. Late at night, when everyone in the palace had gone to sleep, Binta and I would run through the painted halls by torchlight, skidding over the tiled floors in our trek to Father's war room. Hand in hand, we drew the torch over the hand-woven map of Orisha, a map that seemed as large as life itself to our young eyes. I thought Binta and I would see the world together. I thought if we left the palace, we could be happy. Now as I cling to the side of the third mountain we've climbed today, I question why I ever dreamed of ascending anything higher than the palace stairwell. Sweat clings to my skin, soaking through the rough cloth of my black dashiki. An endless swarm of mosquitoes buzz and sting at my neck, feasting because I can't bear to let go of the mountain long enough to swat them away. Another full day of travel has passed, along with, thankfully, one night of restful sleep. Though the weather warmed once we left Sokoto and made our way further into the jungle, I felt Tzain lay his cloak over me again just as I began to fall asleep. With our new supplies, eating comes easy. Even foxer meat and coconut milk start to taste like seasoned hen and tea from the palace kitchen. I thought things were finally improving, but now my chest is so tight I can barely breathe. This late into the day, we've ascended thousands of meters, giving us startling views of the jungle beneath. Greens of all hues cover the land, creating endless canopies beneath our feet. A rushing river curves through the tropical bush, marking the only water in sight. It grows smaller and smaller as we climb, shrinking until it's only a thin blue line. Okay, so also with these chapters, keep in mind we started with our original setting taking place in Zelly's village, and we saw a little bit of the palace here. But as they're continuing to travel, the setting's going to continue to change. So what new pieces of the setting are we adding on? How is the setting changing? And how is it adding to the plot as we go through? How can anything exist up here? I ask in between pants. I take a deep breath and give the rock above my head a firm pull. Earlier in our journey, I wouldn't test my handholds. My scraped knees are a reminder not to repeat that mistake. When the rock holds firm, I hoist myself up further up the mountain, wedging my bare feet into a crack. The urge to cry wells up inside me, but I force it down. I've already hidden my tears twice. It would be humiliating to weep again. She's right, Dzane calls from behind me, searching for an area wide enough for Nayla to clamber up. Their lion air is skittish after almost slipping off the last mountain. Now she climbs only after Dzane proves it's safe. Just keep going, Zelly calls from above. It's here. It has to be here. Do you actually see it? Dzane asks. I think back to the moment in Mama Agba's hut, the moment the future exploded before our eyes. It all looked so magical back then. Stealing the scroll actually felt like a good idea. We saw ourselves climbing. I start. But did you see the legendary temple? Dzane presses. Just because Mama Agba saw us climbing doesn't mean Chindoble is actually real. Stop talking and keep climbing, Zelly shouts. Trust me, I know it's real. It's the same reasoning she's been shouting all day. The stubbornness that's carried us from cliff to cliff. Reality and logic don't matter to her. She needs this so badly. Failure isn't even in the realm of possibilities. I look down to reply to Dzane, but the sight of jungle trees thousands of meters below makes my muscles seize. I press my body against the mountain and clench the rocks tightly. Hey, Dzane calls. Don't look down, you're doing great. You're lying. He almost smiles. Just keep climbing. My beating pulse fills my ears as I look back up. The next ledge is in sight. Though my legs shake, I push myself farther up. Sweet skies, if Binta could see me now. Her beautiful face bleeds into my mind in all its former glory. For the first time since I watched her die, I pictured her alive, smiling and by my side. There was one night in the war room when she undid her bonnet. Her ivory hair fell on the silky sheets around her head. And what shall you wear when we cross the Alasimbo range? She teased when I told her my plans for escape to the Etunji Sea. Even if you were on the run, the queen herself would drop dead before she allowed you to wear trousers. She put her hand on her head and pretended to shriek, mimicking Mother's pitch. I laughed so hard that night I nearly wet myself. Despite the circumstances, a smile comes to my face. Binta could impersonate everybody in the palace. Yet, my smile falls as I think of our lost dreams and abandoned plans. I thought we could escape the tunnels beneath the palace. Once we got out, we would never go back. It all felt so certain in that moment. But did Binta always know it was a dream she'd never see? The question haunts me as I reach the next ledge and pull myself over. The mountain flattens out for a brief stretch, wide enough for me to lie down in the wild grass. As I drop to my knees, Zelly collapses in a garden of native bromeliads, crushing the vibrant red and purple petals under her feet. I bend down and breathe in their sweet scent. Binta would have loved these. Can we stay here? I ask as the clove fragrance calms me. I can't imagine climbing any higher. The promise of Chindoble can only take us so far. I lift my head as Nayla claws her way onto the ledge. Dzane follows after, dripping with sweat. He peels off his sleeveless dashiki and I lower my eyes. The last time I saw a boy's bare body, my nannies were giving Inan and me baths. A warm flush rises to my cheek as I realize how far from the palace I've truly come. Though it's not illegal for royals in Poseidon to consort, in the way it is for Magi in Poseidon, Mother would have Dzane jailed for what he's just done. I scoot away, eager to put more space between Dzane's bare skin and my blushing face, but as I move, my fingers knock against something smooth and hollow. I turn and find myself face to face with a cracked skull. Skies! I shout and crawl backward, hairs raising on the nape of my neck. Zelly jumps to her feet and expands her staff, ready to fight at a moment's notice. "What is it?" she asks. I point to the fractured skull lying on top of a pile of crushed bones. A gaping hole above its eye socket signals its violent death. "Could it be another climber?" I ask. "Someone who did not make it through?" "No," Zelly answers with a strange confidence. "It's not that." She tilts her head and bends down for a closer look. A chill passes through the air. Zelly reaches down, stretching her hand out toward the cracked bone. Her fingers barely graze the skull when I gasp as the sweltering jungle heat around us snaps to a freezing cold. The chill bites through my skin, cutting straight to the bone, but the icy rush only lasts an instant. As quick as it comes, it vanishes, leaving us bewildered on the mountainside. "Ugh!" Zelly wheezes like she's been brought back to life. She grips the bromeliads so tightly the flowers rip straight off their stems. "What in God's name was that?" Dzane asks. Zelly shakes her head, eyes growing wider and wider by the second. "I felt him. It was his spirit, his life." Magic, I realize. No matter how many times I see it, the displays never fail to conflict me. Even as Father's childhood warning of magics resurface, my heart fills with awe. Sorry, checking on my dog. "Come on," Zelly dashes forward, scurrying up the next incline. That was stronger than anything I've ever felt. The temple has to be near. I scramble after her, casting aside my fear and my desire to reach the last ledge. When I pull myself up over the final cliff, I can't believe my eyes. Gendomble. It's actually here. Moss-covered bricks are piled in mountains of rubble, coating every inch of the plateau. The destruction is all that remains of the temples and shrines that once covered this land. Unlike the jungle and mountains below, no crickets chirp, no birds squawk, no mosquitoes sing. The only signs that life ever existed are the shattered skulls littered around our feet. Zelly pauses before a skull, brows knitting through nothing happens. Let me pause real quick.